It's trendy, it's fashionable, and it's where you find young influencers as well as the influenced. Social media has it all. Reels, stories, posts, from heads of states to newborn babies. Everyone has an account because, well, nobody wants to be left behind. But here's the catch. In 2021, a secret internal research at Meta was exposed, which found that the company was aware of the harm that Instagram has on the mental health of many teens, especially girls. 66% teenage girls experience negative social media comparison. About 32% of the teenage girls felt bad about their bodies and said that using Instagram made them feel worse. And 52% of teen girls suffer due to the comparison of beauty and the body image. Now listen in to what ex-owner Elon Musk said about this issue in an earlier interview.
One of the issues with social media that's been pointed out by many people is that I think maybe particularly Instagram, people look like they have a much better life than they really do.
Right.
So
by design.
Yeah, people are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So people basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are.
Right.
And they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, there are all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking and I'm not happy. So I must suck, you know, and that's gonna make people sad. So when in fact, those people you think are super happy, actually not that happy. Some of them are really depressed. They're very sad. Some of the happiest seeming people, actually some of the saddest people in reality.
Now, on their part, Meta says the company is committed to providing safe, positive experience online, and it has introduced a number of features to support young users. So the question is, are we consuming social media, or is online content consuming us? Well, 33 states in America think it is social media that is not only consuming us, but also affecting the mental health of our children. States like California and New York have taken Meta platforms like Instagram and Facebook to court, accusing them of misleading users on the dangers of online platforms. The complaint states how children and teenagers are compelled into addictive and compulsive social media use without warnings. To discuss more on this, I'm joined by my guests tonight. Let me first introduce you to them. I'm joined by Hemant. He's an RJ and stand-up comedian and somebody who's very popular on social media. Hemant, good evening. Welcome. Lloyd Matthias, technology executive, also joins us on the broadcast. Good evening, Lloyd. Thank you very much. It's good to have you back. And Dr. Harish Shetty, psychiatrist, also joins us on the show tonight. Dr. Shetty, namaskar. Thank you very much for speaking with Mirror Now. Let me start with you, Hemant. It's the world of social media. You are somebody who is popular on it. He knows the in and out of it. Let me start by asking you, how much of the content that social media influencers post online is actually genuine and how much of it is made up?
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you again. And also, hello to the 4 guests that I have on the show. Okay, the first thing is the topic of, say, how much of it is true or not is completely based on how we are looking at it. Like, for example, me as an individual, I use, say, social media, especially Instagram or Twitter for that matter, for my own publicity. So I use it as a tool to enhance my work, and I don't use it in a way where I compare myself with XYZ persons. So if you're saying how much of it is true or not, It's more of like how the society is. We have a lot of people, especially we, I'm sure, on a daily basis, we come across a lot of hypocrites who say something, do something, believe something, and most importantly, behave in a particular way. So exactly how people are in a society around us, that is how exactly people are also on the social media. So exactly how what they say and what they think is different, the same reflection is there also on social media apps. So I think believing someone or going by what one is saying on their social media platforms for us is not a very sensible way forward. Maybe that's what I think.
Okay, Dr. Harish Shetty, coming to you. This has been, a debate, a discussion that has been going on for a long time, how social media is impacting our mental health, how we're getting addicted to it day in and day out. Have you also had people coming in, youngsters coming in to you talking about this issue? And what do you really, how do you make sense of this whole issue that concerns us every day? This, doesn't seem like a very big problem because perhaps its symptoms are not very physical. But here we are talking about it. Clearly, it's a big problem around the world.
Actually, social media is designed to addict. It's smarter than the mothers, fathers, relatives, the sports grounds, and the sports. UNESCO, in their recent report in late July, have said that 1 out of 4 countries are restricting social media and digital space in schools and colleges. 1 out of 4 countries. The United States of America, the Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, has clearly come out with a booklet with research data and said that students who are on media for more than 3 hours can suffer from anxiety, depression. That report also says that it can lead to suicide and many other complications. The fact is, social media is not designed to benefit the earth. It is designed to addict people. And so children are the most vulnerable. The elderly also are the most vulnerable. And as they say that there are safety nets, I don't see safety nets. A lot of girls have been abused by predators who can easily seduce these girls in an era where we are experiencing angst, anger, and alienation, in an era where the emotional contact time of parents with children are less, family contact time has gone down, and loneliness is a disease. Is a disease. And in this context, Instagram is one of the most important platforms where children fall prey to a lot of things, comparisons, body image disturbances, and so many other things. And I would say that social media is designed to addict. We need to rethink how we interact and transact our space with it, and which means children under the age of 18 need to be really aware. There needs to be a lot of awareness in schools, colleges, and families. But the point is, let us say that this is going to be the scourge for children. And we need to understand that when they're addicted to it for 12 to 14 hours, I see kids who are on it for 12 to 14 hours, they don't sleep, there's sleep deprivation, there's physical complications. And these kids who deprive themselves of sleep, stay awake, and scroll and add and do all other things are going to suffer big physical changes by the age of 30, 35, and big emotional changes as of now. There is evidence to it. And when United States of America Surgeon General has warned all of us to accept that this is the real danger. The changes in the brain could be the same changes what could happen when you take alcohol, when you're addicted to alcohol, drugs, or even cocaine. So addiction to social media is a reality, and easy addiction is also the truth. And we see a lot of children being addicted for 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah, it's a reality that we all are living in. We have to deal with it right now, in the near future and in the long-term future. Lloyd, coming to you, I think all of us will agree with the fact that it is addictive, it is causing problems, and we have to do something about it. But my question is, how much of an onus can be put on these social media platforms? Doesn't the responsibility lie on all of us as well, too, that we have to practice self-control? I mean, it's right there. There will be platforms, there will be things that will be, designed to addict you. Dr. Shetty talked about alcohol. Yes, alcohol exists, but people refrain themselves when they don't want to drink. Can't it be the same with social media?
Thank you, Shreya. I think you've chosen a very, very critical topic to talk about. I would say two parts. There's an old saying that if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Right? Very clearly for social media platforms, their monetization comes from your and mine attention. Right? The algorithms are designed so that people spend more time. If you look at any of the typical channels, YouTube, Instagram, they know exactly what your likes are, so they're able to feed you a constant stream of things that you will continue to spend time on. And the simple reason they do that is that's the basis on which they monetize their platforms, because they are selling to advertisers your attention. I think that's a reality, right? Something that we all have to accept. What I will disagree with Dr. Shetty, though, is that while clearly social media platforms have proven to be addictive and they can be, they can be very, very harmful for younger people, I think putting the onus completely on the platforms is a little unfair. I think the issue is larger. It has larger societal issues. It's something that has to be tackled at an individual level, at a family level, at a community level, at a society level. Just bringing in regulation may not be the answer. To look at the bright side, I think in the worst days of COVID, I think a lot of people use social media just to communicate that this is where oxygen cylinders are available. Right? You could actually reach out for help. So there's also a good side. But just looking at the bad side and saying that the platforms are responsible, they have to curtail services, I think maybe a little unfair. We can't put the onus entirely on the platforms. Yes, they're designed to be addictive, but I think a lot of it is about the kind of counseling, the kind of support that younger people get. And I think that's one part, using a bit of restraint, exercising personal restraint, exercising a little bit of parental authority, advisory. Maybe there's a case for schools, colleges, and various bodies to talk about the harmful effects of spending too much time. Having said which, you have to also recognize that social media is positive. I think Hemant just mentioned he uses it to build up his brand, build up his profile. I know a lot of young influencers who make a lot of money, in a sense, supporting or advertising products with clear disclosures. So I think there's no complete good and bad. I think we have to have a moderate but a larger community-led solution to the issue.
Yeah. Hemant, the US lawsuit mentions 5 or 6 features on platforms like Instagram and Facebook that are misleading users and that they're leading them to addiction. For example, likes, notifications, the AI algorithm. As somebody who is a social media influencer, do you not think that these are, just very, very sort of clickbait kind of a feature that platforms have, and that while they have been, misleading people, quote unquote, they've also been used for good causes, campaigns. There have been some very good campaigns to spread the word in among people, among communities, to spread awareness about diseases, etc., etc. So, social media platforms have also been used in a good way, in a constructive way.
Well, okay, I'll put this in a very simple form. What is a social media platform? Let's define that. A place where people, which is you and I, who are part of the society, and people like us are coming together at one single place. And there, they are communicating to each other, they're meeting each other, engaging with each other, and most importantly, it's a world that is interdependent. I help you, you help me, kind of a world. And also when you say features, okay, I'll give an example. Say I am an influencer, I use social media to create my own brand. Tell me something, first things first, none of the social media platforms on my phone have notifications on. I stopped it because I exactly know why and how I want the social media platform to be of my help. So if the children, because of their vulnerability, if they are not able to make that decision, maybe it's up to their family, friends, not friends, at least because they're youngsters, it is the family and the teachers. You have to guide them. And I know a lot of children,
Yeah, but
especially the youngsters,
the
who
problem
learn
is, and
so
the
much.
irony of the matter, Hemant, is that the parents, the family members are themselves addicted to social media. They're scrolling with their children, in front of their children, and the whole family is, on the path of being addicted to social media. Who's going
Well,
to
there
put on
you
the filters? Who's going to put on the security features?
Well, there you go. Isn't that the problem? It's like the father in a house is watching TV and asking the son just beside him to go read. It's like we are in a generation where people
Yeah.
don't learn from what we say, but they just imitate from what you do. So because we are in the culture, maybe I think that it is up to the parents and the teacher to have a bigger, harder moral responsibility to make sure that point number one, educate and create a awareness program, and also to make them smarter in the choices they make, especially with the social media platforms. And also, let me add, I have seen, because we are not in a generation, or we are not in an era where stars mean only a film stars or a cricketer star, cricket stars. Right now, stars are everywhere and they are homemade, made by their own. So I think social media is acting like a boon, maybe 100 times more than what it is set out to be, like a bane. So I think if, say, the parents or the teachers, like I said, have more control over the vulnerable souls like the children, maybe then the use of social media for a better constructive purpose will be much, much huge and can create wonders.
Dr. Shetty, for the benefit of the meta platforms, the social media platforms, this is just a very recent phenomena, social media. But when we talk about depression, when we talk about body image issues, I think we've all had family members pointing out कि वेट गेन कर लिया है, पतली हो गई है, कुछ करती क्यों नहीं है. So this is just to completely hold social media platforms and the content online responsible. Is it fair? Or we've just always had this mentality and had this mindset where we're putting down others on the basis of their, body image, the way they speak, whether they speak English or not. If they're speaking in Hindi, we're judging them, so on and so forth. So many stereotypes, so many judgmental, opinions out there.
You asking me?
Yes, Dr. Shetty.
There are two or three things here. One is that the social media innovates every millisecond as compared to human beings and parents. Once upon a time, we were teaching teachers how to compete with the jingle on the TV and be smarter than the jingle on the TV. We still teach teachers and communicators how to be smarter than the social media, and how to learn from the media to beat the media. Now the point is, I'm talking about children. Children are very, very vulnerable in a world of globalization. The adverse effects of globalization is that parents have no time to speak to children. Gone are the days when banks work only for 8, bank employees work for only 8 hours. So in an era where the contact time to influence children is less, the entire responsibility of education and helping children understand that this needs to be regulated is so difficult, because technological revolutions are much, much, much smarter and better than human communication. So what is important as of now is, I'm saying, we should not blame the alcohol bottle for the person who's taking alcohol, or we can't blame Instagram or others. But the point is, they are at your face. They are not termed as addictive. There are no one-line tickers down that be careful, don't use it for so long, and so on and so forth. So it is legitimized area which children feel is perfectly all right. So I think a dialogue between the larger society, a very effective dialogue between the larger society, the governments, and the social media platform need to continue so that the harm towards children who are very vulnerable because their brain growth is not complete. Their prefrontal cortex is still developing. And at that point of time, if you cause addiction or if you cause excessive use, which has been proved to cause depression, anxiety, and even suicide, I think we need a larger dialogue and we need to
Dr.
see to
Shetty,
it
can I
that
ask you
social media
something?
platforms are
You
responsible.
said that more safety features should be put out by the platforms. Safety features being publicly put out, being in your face to deter people from, using it in an addictive way. But let me also give you an example of the cigarette packs that come, which have a warning sign, which have a diseased person right there, a picture right there. How many people stop smoking because of that?
Good question, ma'am. The point is the warning sign on the cigarette is so minuscule, but the brand of the cigarette is so big. So if you compare that, the warning is very small. What I'm trying to say is
But
they need
that
to
would be
be
the case
as
here
much
also. The safety feature will be this much. But these US tech giants are huge brands. They're huge corporates minting a lot of money from all of us.
Absolutely. So I would say that we need to have a dialogue with the companies. And if there's evidence to say that this has caused depression, this has caused suicide, this has caused anxiety, we need to have regulations which are strong and which could be implemented. So you please look at the UNESCO document. Please look at the document where the Surgeon General of the United States and so many, it's staring on our face. I'm not saying ban social media. I'm saying social media has been useful for me to spread mental awareness. But then under the age of 18, I see kids being very vulnerable and we need to do something very big about it.
Okay. Okay, Lloyd, coming to you, in the US Supreme Court, there have been cases, there have been arguments on Section 230 of a law that governs the internet, which basically gives a leeway, gives a free pass to the online platforms and makes them free from the responsibility of the content that is posted online. That whatever is a user is posting online is not the responsibility of the platform, it is the user's responsibility. Do you think that should be done away with? More rectification should come in when we hold the platform responsible as well? Do you think a lot of immunity to these online platforms and tech giants has already been given?
Shreya, clearly there is a case for some form of regulation. Two reasons. I think one, you're talking of large global monopolies. If you look at the 2 or 3 top tech companies that provide social platforms, I mean, each of them are really reaching out to a few billion users. So we're looking at a large percentage of the world. The sheer size and scale, like you rightly said, is absolutely enormous. I think, therefore, there is a case where platforms are made responsible for some form of education or some form of warnings, as you suggested, as Dr. Shetty said. I think some of that can be mandated. But to expect platforms to actually regulate all content will be expecting too much. You have to understand that the nature of a platform is it actually brings together people with various points of view. So social media has democratized opinion. In the past, we were used to having a few big bodies of opinion, major newspapers, major television channels. Today, every one of us have an opinion and we can put it out there. To expect social media platforms to monitor every opinion with real human oversight is impossible, right? What they are doing, and specifically on sensitive issues, is they have algorithms that keep out things like child pornography and there's a whole range of things. Various countries have their standards. I think some of that is being adhered to. But yes, the onus should move a bit to the platforms to actually begin this dialogue that we talk about. So educating specifically younger people about the issues regarding addiction, spending too much time. I think a scroller now and then reminding you that, hey, you spend 2 hours on Instagram or whatever is good. However, it can't be mandated. I mean, you can't wake up in the morning to be told that you got 20 minutes on Instagram and 10 minutes on X or Twitter, and that's your quota for the day, and that's impractical.
But
so
why would they want to do it, Lloyd? Why would they want to do it? I have a digital well-being feature on my phone which shows me the number of hours I've spent on each social media platforms. Now, if that is replicated on each platform where they're telling me, okay, you've done 1 hour of scrolling, you've done 2 hours of scrolling. Why would any platform want that? That's their revenue model. Why would they give that feature to us?
I think as pressure comes from society and regulators, I think they will have to play that role of regulation, right? We all know a time when cigarette advertising was permitted. We all know a time when alcohol or liquor advertising was permitted. I think today a lot of them are actually advocating don't drink and drive and things of that sort. So I think you have to expect that these large platforms are just too large and they will have to conform to what society expects them to do. But like I said, to tell a kid who spends 6 hours a day on Instagram that 6 hours is too much. I think that's something that has to come from society in a dialogue, right? And like I think rightly pointed out, if at schools and such like we don't sensitize younger people, saying that this is not something you can dedicate all your time to. There's a whole lot of life. There's physical activity. There's sports. I think that balance is what we'll get to come to terms with. The fact that all of this has happened literally in the last decade, I think it's overtaken us. It's swamped a whole generation. Right? We've all seen parents of young kids who, when they want to get some time of their own, just give the kid a little the mobile phone and say, okay, play your games. I think those are the small behavioral changes that need to be tackled as a society. And parallelly, some form of regulation, some form of self-regulation has to also be brought about because these giants are truly large and they can afford it and they certainly should, given the fact that their impact on humanity in general is enormous.
Hemant, do you think content on social media can be more responsible? You've got all sorts of users online. Yes, you want to make a point? Please go ahead. Also, my question is, do you think social media influencers should be more responsible in the kind of content they put out?
Clearly, I mean, no questions asked. I think not social media influencers, anyone for that matter, whenever they're posting anything, they have to be really, really sensitive and sensible about it. That's one. However, the point of the other two esteemed guests were saying, I always had this inclination where maybe to disengage a lot of youngsters from becoming addictive to the social media platforms, I thought two things can be done. Point number one is to get away, do away with having the number of followers on their feed. Like I have 10, I have 10,000, I have 10 lakhs, whatever that is. So that's one, it's like marks. I'm competing against another person who I don't even know. So I'm starting to become say, I'm jealous of someone else because they have 1 million followers and I don't. So maybe doing away with the follower numbers on the space is one thing. The other thing I really think is because with the advent of AI, there's so much of technology that's being, invented every day, maybe the social media, now that every phone has a frontal camera, maybe the social media platforms should have an AI which should be so smart that just by reading the facial features or by reading the retina, they should be able to gauge the age of the user. And by understanding that if it is under, say, 18 or whatever that is, an X number that we want to have, calling them as children or vulnerable age, maybe then that social media platform should automatically disengage from having content that is not very comfortable or child-friendly, point one. And also, maybe, I don't know how this works though, maybe it's like a catch and up situation where it's like a double-edged sword where every time you want to use the app after X number of hours or something, maybe the social media platform should ask the users to pay X amount. So if it's the children, they're asking for, say, X amount to pay for them. It's like a video game. To use the app, that's when the parents or the teachers would know that my ward is doing XYZ and spending money, which means something is going wrong. And that's like the red flag in the parents or the teachers, and they come to curtail that. So I think doing away with the following numbers, and maybe having an AI that will read the retina or the facial features and maybe coming to a final number of the age and stopping stopping the content that's being produced, and also maybe having like a, how do I say, pay only then you can use the app for the next number of hours. Maybe these things may
something like what Elon Musk is doing on X. He's starting to charge for certain features that you want to get for that blue tick mark. Now, of course, it's different tick marks also. Something on those lines. Yes, it could be a deterrent. Good suggestion there, Hemant. A dangerous suggestion was that the kind of AI that can check the retina and check your age and therefore pull up content like that, well, there's a flip side to that and a very
Correct.
risky one. But Dr.
Correct.
Shetty, some great suggestions there by Hemant. I think paying for features, paying for getting more and more popular can be a deterrent. But do you think a lot of introspection is also needed with the fact that these addictive things, platforms, maybe now, but things have always existed. It's only up to us as to how we deal with them. Television was always there. But I remember when my parents used to go out of the house, they used to lock the TV in a case, then they used to lock the room and then leave the house. So, there have been measures, there have been ways where you can put certain deterrents as to not get your child addictive to platforms.
Absolutely.
Things.
In fact, we had no TV days being practiced by schools, and this was not imposed on children. One thing is very important is that when there is an epidemic, campaigns are the key, and sometimes campaigns driven by children and parents are more effective. Let me give you the example of Mohite Vadgaon in Sangli district, where the entire village has come together and they have a siren which runs at a certain point of time, and between that time, some hours, nobody is supposed to pick up the phone, and they keep the phone aside so that the children can study. So unless there's a campaign which is run by stakeholders, it will not work. So that is one thing which is very important. It cannot be run by adults alone. It should be run by students. Second most important thing is, if the platforms say that, oh, young boy, you have been here for 3 hours, now it's closed for you, and it closes automatically, or it closes at a particular point of time, and you can't access it. And that would be one of the most tectonic shifts which can happen if the social media platforms can implement that for children under 18. The UNESCO document is scary. Have a look at it. 1 out of 4 countries are saying that they're restricting social media and other things for children under 18, China being the most effective, and other countries too. So I think on both sides, campaigns are effective, run by stakeholders. There's a lot of enthusiasm in the campaigns. People have done it. In this village, which I mentioned, the campaign has been very effective. At the same time, the child who has the phone in his hand and is scrolling on Instagram, there's a particular, if they say you're finished 1.5 hours, no more Instagram for you for the next 24 hours. And those things will actually work. At the same time, there's no shortcut to education, awareness, and awareness.
Absolutely. And in India too, I think we need to pull up our socks when we have to deal with the content that is put on online platforms and the safety features that come with it, and the implementation and use of those security features in our daily lives. With that, I'm going to wrap this discussion up. Lloyd Matthias, Hemant, and Dr. Harish Shetty, thank you very much, gentlemen, for speaking with Mirror Now and sharing your perspective on this concern that is, concerning all of us in our daily lives, in our future as well. Thank you very much. All right, with that, we're heading in for a short break. News and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned to Mirror Now.